Ain't it a great day? Ain't it a great day? Ain't it a great day? Ain't it a great day?
Hello everyone, my name's Dean. Let's talk crypto. This is where you subscribe for daily Bitcoin updates and technical analysis. We track the price of Bitcoin as a proxy for the cryptocurrency markets at large. Today is August 16th, 2025, and Bitcoin is struggling at support. Okay, on the smaller intraday time frames, Bitcoin can be seen to be struggling at support, and that, if you're a bull, is very worrisome. So we're going to analyze the smaller time frames. I know for the past 2-3 episodes we've been very vocal about the high time frame analysis, and with good reason. But let's have some fun on the smaller intraday time frames today and really look at what Bitcoin seems to be doing and why we should still, with a high degree of probability, expect a move down, or a continued move down, I should say. So if that all sounds interesting to you, then watch until the very end. Hope everyone's having a great day. Let's get into it. Let's actually start on the daily time frame. There's one thing I want to show you. So on this channel, I don't talk about volume much, and there's a reason for that. And in short, volume in crypto isn't like volume in traditional markets. Given that in cryptocurrency, volume, there are so many different exchanges with their own supplies of the asset, and depending on where you're trading, the volume can be a bit different. In crypto, volume is it's completely exchange dependent. But with an asset like Bitcoin that is so plentiful with respect to other cryptocurrencies, I think volume still tells you a general story. But you just have to be very careful, especially while doing volumetric analysis on altcoins. So there's a reason I haven't systematized volumetric analysis in my process, in my analytical process. It's just not as reliable, and so I just don't use it. I've found ways to get around it, but you can still see very interesting things turning it on from time to time, especially on assets like Bitcoin, assets like Ethereum, assets that are in great supply on any given exchange. So, in crypto, when you're doing volumetric analysis, first you have to make sure you're looking at the volume on an exchange with a credible amount of supply, and you're then making the assumption that that's accurate, that that's consistent across the board, and so on and so forth. So it's not a big part of my process. That being said, on the daily time frame, you can see something very interesting. So you go on the daily time frame, turn on the volume, and what do you see? So I talked in the last episode about the rise from 16K to 120 plus K in Bitcoin, claiming unpopularly that this is not a bull market. This is hugging a support level, actually a resistance level, but basically you're rising gradually, more likely due to the algorithmic supply shock created by the halving. But it's not a true bull market because it's just a consolidation up and to the right, and the volume supports that thesis. If you're bullish and you do believe that we were in a bull market, my one single question to you is, what do you make of this? If you know anything about volumetric analysis, right? My Wyckoff people are big volumetric analyzers. There are other schools of thought that really feature volume as a big part of the analysis. My question to you, even if you don't know anything about volume, explain that. Explain the dearth of volume from our rise in December 2022, right, at 16K, to present day. There's no volume. This is another data point this is another piece of solid evidence that this is not a true bull trend. This is not a true impulsive trend. Impulsive trends are characterized by their swift and plentiful movement in a single direction. And so they're followed, they're seen to have a lot of volume. So the big volume spikes you see are in the consolidation here, that we did between June of 22 and March of 23, and then there's no volume. And that's exactly what you see in a corrective uptrend. And you know when the volume comes back? When you do the retracement. Now, in no way that I think that the retracement happens all the way here. No, we already did that. This right here was already retested. So I'm not like saying, oh, we're going back to 20K. Not at all. For my high time frame analysis, refer to the previous 2 episodes. But this level right here at 55 is a very clear level. And it's that much more convincing if and when the volume starts kicking back in, because that is truly the direction price wants to go to. And that's where, the market's leaning. The market's leaning towards sellers. And so if we're correct on the smaller time frames, you should start to see volume start to kick in, right? So you should see, and volume's always a relative indicator, right? Because you can have volume, but then you should have bigger volumes in impulse, less in accumulation and distribution, more in the motive phases, up and down. So you see here, you have a decent amount of volume. It's trailing off as you go up. That's always a telltale sign. When I started doing technical analysis and learning about all of these different indicators and how to use them, they always said uptrends with declining volume mean that the price wants to actually go the opposite way, and you're likely to get a retracement in the opposite direction. So you're likely to retrace on the uptrend. I always knew that to be true. I always saw it in the charts. And here you can see, even on the smaller time frame, trailing volume with this uptrend from 75-ish. And we should now see the volume start to kick back in with this move down. So, watch that space, watch this indicator. If you're interested in volume, just another thing you can watch to understand what's likely happening. Now, what I want to talk about today is not necessarily, a continuation of what I've been talking about the past 2 episodes. Like I said, I want to look at the small time frame. So on the small time frames, and why, again, small time frames, always put it in context, always understand, when you jump down into the daily, intraday time frames, the hourly, the 4-hourly, whatever 8-hour you want to use, it's always for a specific purpose. I'm not one of those traders or analysts that thinks high time frame only, small time frames for idiots or for degenerates. No, not at all. They each have their own uses. The small time frame is for making your entries, scalping, making, what's going on right now. High time frame is more universal, more, okay, what's likely to happen in a higher time frame? Okay, where we more likely to go? The probability is higher. So we're always keeping our high time frame analysis in mind. We've done the high time frame analysis. I'm not redoing it right now. High time frame analysis is extremely bearish in the immediate short term. It has Bitcoin going down to 55K, which is, on many levels, a high probability target for the price. Now, right now, on the 4-hourly time frame, it's a Saturday, it's a weekend, the traditional markets are closed. We typically see consolidation, sideways price action on weekends. What are we seeing on Bitcoin's price action? That is what I want to answer. So, to answer that question, I think the main feature or the main aspect of our analysis has to take this level into account. Okay. And I know some analysts say, oh, if the level's not straight or orthogonal, then it's trash. Diagonals are unpredictable and they're not reliable. Not true. Look at this. For the past 30 plus days, Bitcoin has put in this level. It's a 33-day level. Price respected it. Price will tell you what's important, right? For, I don't know, 2 weeks or so, that was respected. It came back, was respected until it popped out, and it's now back on top. So it was resistance for almost 3 weeks and then popped up for a week, and now we're back above it, but now we're failing to hold it. So previous resistance, if we were bullish, you take this level right here as previous resistance for 3 weeks or so, broken out of, flips into new support. You got to flip it and then continue. That's what you do when you bullishly test a level. Yeah? But what happens when you don't have the buyers to bullishly test a level like this? And this, by all accounts, right? Just looking at the price action, not my opinion or anything like that. Obviously, I'm always interpreting something. But the price action is telling us this is where all the action's happening. For the past 34 days, Bitcoin is dealing and playing with this level. Resistance, resistance, resistance. Now support, support, support. And when I said in the intro, Bitcoin is failing or struggling to hold support, it's struggling to hold this 34-day support. What you're seeing here is early evidence of what we call a swing failure pattern. So the failure is exactly what I just said. Instead of coming above, retesting as support, and then moving onwards, the failure happens where, and this is common, you see this all the time, you act like you're going to hold, you consolidate for a while, and then you fail. This is called a swing failure pattern. Bitcoin, as of right now, Saturday afternoon, time of recording, Eastern Standard Time, is looking like it's executing a swing failure pattern. That's my small time frame thesis. All right, we're gonna jump down now into the hourly time frame and look at why that may very well be. Okay, so devil's advocate to myself, if that is my immediate time frame, small time frame thesis, I'm looking for a failure of this level and a break of this level, I'm going to ask myself, wait, hold up. Don't jump the gun here. Consolidations at support take time. What if Bitcoin simply putting in some kind of accumulation here? Yeah, because we know these things take time. You just sold off on Friday. Now you take a little bit of time to accumulate. Maybe you take all weekend to accumulate, and then Sunday market open, or even earlier than that, you mark up again. That's it, right? Why? What do you have against that? And that is still on the table. But here's why it's unlikely. Okay, now let's look. And this, again, small time frame analysis. The conclusions thereof are less reliable, but we do it because it's fun, and it may help us make entries or exits, or it's just, this is what we do. Small time frame analysis. It is what it is, but it's not as reliable, once again, as the high time frame analysis. Please keep that in mind. It's not the same. It's not even in the same ballpark. Okay, so now we're looking at this right here, because the thesis is we're we're struggling on this level right here. And if we're bullish, then this right here, this mini channel of right now 2 days 8 hours is some sort of accumulation. Okay, so you can do two things. You can refer to your Wyckoff accumulation channels and see, or Wyckoff accumulation schematics, and see if you see any semblance of an accumulation here. Okay, and again, my eye immediately, I do dabble in Wyckoff from time to time, but my mind immediately refers to AB based theory by Elliott Wave, or by Ralph Nelson Elliott. A lesser known Elliott Wave tool that helps analyze consolidations. And in AB based theory, we look for 3 pairs of consolidative movements, 3 pairs of corrective movements, rather, to complete a consolidation, to complete an accumulation. So if this were some sort of accumulation, I would count it something like this. My initial break, right? The initial break's always easy because it's always the first thing to start a move. So I would say that's my initial break. I would say this is my secondary break. I would say this compound right here, ABC, is my secondary break. Because this to me doesn't look like an impulse. This looks like an A wave, B wave, C wave. So I'd say this is move 1. Then I'd say this is my primary break, or A wave. This is my B wave. So this is my primary counter. This is my secondary break. I would say this is my secondary counter. I would say this may be my tertiary break or my pivot. And so I'm looking for something like this. And you know what? Just reading the channel, forget AB base theory for a second. If I'm bullish, you know what really, really bothers me and what really concerns me on the small time frame? Again, this is small time frame analysis, keeping it in perspective. The fact that the midline here was lost so early. That's not a good sign. Remember, the midline is the most important part of any channel. And if our thesis on the small time frame is that this 2-day and 8-hour channel is going to serve as a reaccumulation of Bitcoin shares, reaccumulation of Bitcoin to market back up, then we want to be above the midline and reclaim the midline as support. If we're bearish, we're going to see the midline not only lost, but serve as resistance. Ultimately, this gives your quintessential bearish reversal pattern. And if you're bullish, you also get the quintessential bullish reversal pattern because you pop out and you get something like that, right? Something like this. Because you're going to retest that midline as support. Do you see what I mean? So, even a simple, and I'm not, this is not an insult. I'm not using this in a pejorative way, but I love simple analysis. If you watch this channel, I always, sing the praises of simple, elegant analysis. A simple pattern analyst just looking for those reversal patterns, inverse head and shoulders or head and shoulders, comes to the same conclusion, right? And there's some analysts that speak ill of, you're looking for inverse head and shoulders or head and shoulders. Like, pattern analysis works. Is it 100%? Nothing's 100%. But just looking for here, okay, is that a head and shoulders bearish reversal pattern? More likely right now. Right now. If we break above the midline and do that, then that looks like a bullish reversal pattern, at least in the immediate short term, right? So the small time frame analysis would be bullish. Small time frame again. All right, so that's what I'm saying. I think this is most important. Now, if we're bearish, not only do we get that head and shoulders bearish reversal pattern, but then this essentially becomes a redistribution. So, in terms of Wyckoff, now I'm switching. Wyckoff would call this a redistribution channel instead of an accumulation channel or distribution channel, because the distribution started here. This is just a redistribution of shares. You continue. You take a pit stop. Anybody else want to add? Anybody else still think we're not going down? Oh, add. Go ahead. Keep adding. We're going to sell them off because we're looking for Bitcoin to sell. People need to accumulate Bitcoin here to sell it off. So, they need buyers to, kind of be involved intermittently. But then they sell off those same Bitcoin that, we're selling off here. They just resume the sell-off. Yeah. So that's what I'm seeing on the small time frame for Bitcoin on the Bitcoin chart. Now let's see what the Bitcoin dominance chart is saying, if it at all corroborates with our small time frame read. So we're going to compare apples to apples and stay intraday on Bitcoin dominance. We understand that our high time frame analysis has Bitcoin dominance at a 760-day. Whoops. I did not mean to do that. We understand that our Bitcoin dominance chart has Bitcoin at a 760-day support, or Bitcoin dominance rather, at a 760-day support. So it's more likely than not that we do experience a bounce from here. Let's go back. I'm sorry about that. And here we go. Okay, so that's a high time frame, but again, we're going to focus on the small time frame. And so on the small time frame, understanding that this area right here is strong, multi-year support, this likely is going to be a level of consolidation. This is likely going to be a consolidative channel. Again, I would do the same type of analysis. Very simple, straightforward, right? So I channel my price action and I see that I've gone up and down and up and down and up and down. Remember, channels, the most important, let's do this properly. Let's use our tool. The most important aspect of any channel is the midline, because that's where the battle for the channel is won or lost, at the midline. If the midline is held, then it's probably going to be bullish. If it's lost, then it's probably going to be bearish. Okay, so I'm looking at this bit of price action. It's probably the same time frame that we saw the Bitcoin. So this one's 3-day, 22 hours. We were analyzing a 2-day, 8-hour channel for Bitcoin. It's comparable. All I'm saying is this. Remember, the analysis for Bitcoin dominance is such that if Bitcoin dominance goes up, we're likely to experience a relative strength in Bitcoin. Relative strength in Bitcoin typically means that Bitcoin goes down and altcoins go down even more. Okay, very important. So if Bitcoin dominance is bullish, the crypto market generally is bearish. Bitcoin dominance is bearish, the crypto market is generally bullish and altcoins gain against Bitcoin. Right here, what I'm seeing is same reasoning as we used in the Bitcoin analysis. You went up and down and up and down and up and down. You can count the AB bases all day, but the bread and butter of it all is that your most recent move has the midline of this channel recapture with this double bottom test, and you seem to be making a move up and out of the channel. For me, looking at that analysis on the small time frame, again, it's small time frame analysis, I think in the immediate short term, Bitcoin dominance is bullish only because, very simply, we've regained the midline of this 3-4 day channel. Okay, and so that means with a high degree of probability, our next likely move is going to be up and out of the channel, retesting the channel as support, and then moving on up. Bitcoin dominance once again moves on up. That means the rest of the cryptocurrency market, or sorry, the whole entire cryptocurrency market is bearish. It's just that Bitcoin is falling less than altcoins. Last but not least, let's have a quick peek at our total 3, our aggregate altcoin chart. And here again on the 4-hourly time frame, you can see how it's likely that you do experience a move down, only because it seems to be that in the immediate short term, on the 4-hourly time frame at least, altcoins are at resistance. They're at resistance. You had this initial sell-off right here. Again, this is a 4-hourly time frame. Each and every candle is worth 4 hours of price action, and you've butted your head against this resistance once, butted it twice, butted it 3 times. I think you eventually lose this level. Can you regain this level? Absolutely. But on the small time frame, on the 4-hourly time frame, it looks like you're at resistance. And remember, resistance is for selling, support is for buying. So it's likely that altcoins sell off at or around this level due to the fact that you're at a 3.5 day resistance. So that's my analysis, small time frame analysis to see, okay, what's going on right now. But I hope it was helpful, useful. Like, share, and subscribe. If you got value, consider tipping. Venmo, Litecoin, Cash App, even PayPal, all at the pinned comment below. Consider my crypto portfolio mentorship and consultation service if you're seriously considering investing in the cryptocurrency market, but you don't know what to invest in, you don't know when to buy or sell. That's pretty much for people looking to invest up to 5 assets, up to 5 altcoins, in up to 5 altcoins. You can sign up for that at the pinned comment below. And for people who kind of want to try me out as an analyst, or are only interested in a deep dive of one asset, I have a new service. It's for $120. Send the payment, and within 24 hours you'll have your recorded analysis sent to your email. That you can also find out about in the pinned comment. And last but not least, BTCC, the exchange partner for this channel, is offering 10% cash back to any new users who deposit a minimum of 500 USDT or the equivalent on the exchange and make any single trade. And within 7 days, you'll have 10% back of whatever you deposited. Maximum return or reward is 10,000. That means you would have to have deposited 100K. Guys, that's it for me. Take care, and I'll see you later. Bye. My prevalent time slot, I vocalize, too deep to localize, even when I'm right on the surface. You act surprised how I work this, but I can't lie. Many a good alibi. I'll catch you later. Visions are vividly enhanced with emphasis and amethyst to develop morale advantages which help us manifest magnanimous. We body vitals like evangelists. So listen when you're dealing with people who be revealing premonitions with precision. At least that's what I'm aiming at for now. I speak the language of the world, meandering throughout the crowd. Used to feel safe to say anything, but now it's a risk. It's hard for me to let go when all I can do is reminisce. Gone like the wind, here's where I begin. Should I smile or should I grin what's happening? Gone like the wind.